Joining us right now is a gal that I just met last week at the farmer's market, and her name is Leah Wolf with her his partner,
Yeah.
Charles
Chabon.
Chabon. Okay, in relation to Jim?
That's my uncle.
Uncle. Okay, I know Jim. Leah came up to me with a card. She goes, "Are you Pat from radio station or whatever?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, and when I looked at it, she said, "Here's a link to look up." So I looked it up, and it enthralled me so much, I decided, we got to get her on the show. So I emailed her, and that's why she's here today. Leah, tell us about what you do.
Okay. The Trillium Center is an educational center for self-reliance and other folk arts.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is I really believe that communities that are resilient and have good health are self-reliant. They have more self-reliance. So I'm not talking about individual self-reliance, but community self-reliance. And so we teach a variety of things. I teach herbalism. I teach people how to use plants for medicine and food. Charles teaches, you want to talk about for a second what you teach?
Sure. I am very interested I'm a builder, among other things, and so I'm working on non-traditional, sustainable building techniques, straw bale, cob. We pulled a bunch of tires out of the lake and used those for a foundation. Just how to make things out of what we have on hand rather than depending on stuff from
How long have you guys been doing this?
For a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah.
Now you're at the farmer's market. What are you promoting down there?
I'm there to show people the kinds of things that they can make, and so they can give me a donation to have some of those products. I pass out flyers with the class schedules.
Have you been there all year?
I've been doing the farmer's market for 3 years.
Really? How come I don't remember you down there?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Will you be there tomorrow? Tomorrow's the last day.
No, because tomorrow we're actually having a wilderness skills class where we have 19 people signed up to come and learn some wilderness skills, such as fire building, building shelters, making cordage out of plants, and I'm going to teach them a little bit of herbal first aid, so if they hurt themselves, they can use plants to actually deal with those wounds. So.
This is interesting to me. I'll tell you why. I just found a television show that's called The Legend of Mick Dodge, and he believes in all this stuff. And he cut himself, and he went and got some kind of leaves that he put on the cut, and it helped it. And so he believes in that, taking care of yourself naturally. You know? And that's what you believe in.
Yeah.
Have you always been that way?
Yes.
Really? Since you're a little girl and stuff?
Well, I used to make pies out of mud, and I would put mint leaves on them, so I was already picking the right plants back then.
Now, are you from Conneaut originally?
No, I grew up in California.
In California? How'd you end up here?
That's a very good question. I traveled north for quite a while and ended up in Portland, Oregon for seven years, and I studied public health there. I got a master's in public health. I was working at the Kaiser Center for Health Research and doing all this stuff, and once I finished my degree in public health, and I had studied herbs for many years at that point already, I realized that to actually instill the type of community health that I wanted to, that it would actually better to go out and do something like this. The research world was just not appealing to me. It takes too long for the ideas and the information gathered from research to actually get to the communities in need, so I decided I wanted to go put myself in a community and help that community. I didn't choose Conneaut originally. I chose a little town called Luck, Wisconsin. Lived there for a couple of years, but I met Charles around the same time and kind of like him a bit, so so I decided to move to Conneaut and see what I could do here. And I spent a couple of years trying to understand what is Conneaut about, what's the history in Conneaut, that kind of thing. Because while I was studying for community health, I was learning about all the kinds of things that make communities healthy. What are those things? I did a short internship with the Coalition for a Livable Future, and some of the things that it turns out end up in those communities that are healthy are farmers markets, community gardens, neighborhood associations, a sense of place, like an understanding of the history and the geography and how it all works together, you know, understanding watersheds and environmental factors and all that kind of thing. Being able to get exercise easily, like is it easy to bike in this town? Is it easy to walk? Because some places it's not, you know, if you've ever been to Atlanta, Georgia, it's very difficult to walk or ride a bike there. Access to nature is really important for good health. We have lots of that, except for it's hard to get to the creek. And then,
Do you guys live on a farm?
yes,
On Furnace Road, right?
yep,
Is your business located there?
yes,
It is?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we have a,
So like if people during the year wanted to buy stuff from you, or as you call it, donation,
yeah,
can they come there to do that?
yes, and they
Really?
do. Yeah,
Okay.
I have people come for consultations who want to learn one-on-one about
How did
how
you get
to
your
do
name out
this.
there?
Farmers market.
From a farmer's market?
Yeah, I've been doing farmers markets for a few years now.
See, I'm gonna miss the farmer's market because I do not eat anything like soups and stores. It all has to be homemade because I don't believe in sodium or salt. And I'm sorry that I did not see your little booth there because maybe I was just looking for onions and tomatoes or something and corn.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's pretty common. Most of my customers are actually tourists because they're the people who are from Youngstown or wherever they come
Right.
from. I tend to have more of them as customers because they're more likely to not just be looking for food.
mm-hmm,
You know, so I think sometimes local people walk by because I don't have what they're looking for.
What about? Well, tell me about these herbs that you deal with. Like, what are we talking about specifically?
Well, in pretty much anything in your backyard is probably going to fall into that category. I'll give you an example. Dandelion. Dandelion was brought here as a crop. It was brought over with the settlers from Europe. So it's very important food to them. The leaves are edible. The early leaves can be eaten raw. The late leaves can be eaten in cooked food, soups and stuff. The roots are sometimes eaten, but mostly that's used as a medicine. So
For what kind of problem?
it's a liver stimulant.
Really?
So it helps promote digestion, so it improves the way the body works as far as eliminating toxins from the body. It's got a lot of potassium in the flowers, so a lot of times people make wine out of the flowers.
Right.
So medicinal wine.
Do you use it? Do you use dandelion?
Yeah, it's a really common one to use initially, especially when somebody's first learning, because it's safe. It's a food. It's not, you know, nobody can overdose on dandelion.
Right.
It's pretty accessible. Pretty much everybody knows what a dandelion is.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're actually trying to eradicate them instead of actually incorporating them into their diet. But and that's one of the things that I want to do is incorporate education into community garden projects so that we can teach people not just to throw the weeds out, but learn how to make medicine out of them and improve their health.
Like my lawn guy killed a bunch of them this year, and because that was not, he did. Oh, these are terrible. You shouldn't have these and that stuff. And here now you're saying that they're healthy for you. Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about the fact that they were brought here intentionally, I think that really says a lot about
Sure.
how much our culture has changed.
What about some other herbs around the house that you could utilize or that you deal with?
Yeah, there's one called plantain. It's a first aid plant. Actually, Charles can tell you a little bit about plantain. He's the reluctant herbalist on site, so.
Plantain is another one that was brought here. White man's footprint. It's everywhere that the white settlers went. They brought this along.
It followed them.
It followed
wasn't
them.
necessarily intentional.
What is it, like a flower or something?
No, you know what it looks like, even if you don't necessarily know what it looks
Yeah.
like. There's two kinds. One has a long, narrow leaf, and one has a small, round leaf that are kind of stringy when you pull them apart. If you crush up the leaf and you pack it on a wound, like you were talking about the television show, it helps the skin knit back together.
Really?
Yeah, the seeds, they'll get a long stem with a bunch of little beads on it, almost.
Yeah.
And those, you can eat those.
Yeah.
Fiber for your diet.
I'm sure there's plants out there, for both of you guys could answer this one, that you do not want to mess around with because they can be poisonous.
Sure.
Yeah. Poison ivy.
Poison ivy's
Yeah,
terrible.
don't eat poison ivy.
Would that be poisonous really for your system?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Well, if you think about what it does to your skin, if it gets into your mucous tissues, it swells up and can prevent breathing.
Really?
So, yeah, you wouldn't want to eat it.
Yeah. So you pretty much, you would know when you look at plants what they are, what they can do and not do,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
from your studies.
Yeah, I actually have learned a method of working with the new plants too, that I can taste them and tell you what the medicinal properties are without even knowing what the plant is. And that's actually one of the things that I do is I have a study group. We meet once a month. I think there's about 12 regular people. They don't all come at the same time, so sometimes there's only 6 of us. But I make tea and I serve them tea and we all drink the tea together, but they don't know what it is. And we talk about it as we drink it so that we can notice, like, is it astringent? Does it make my mouth feel dry? Or does it feel really wet? Is it, is it sour? Is it sweet? And all of those things help people understand what the medicinal qualities are.
I think it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you're pretty much in pretty good health, like
Yes.
eating healthy and
Fairly good, I would say.
yeah. So, like, do you drink coffee?
Rarely.
Rarely.
Rarely. He drinks it every day, but he cuts it with chicory because that helps. It tastes pretty good.
What's chicory?
Chicory is there's a plant that's growing on the roadsides now. It's not. It's been in bloom for probably a month, and it's starting to die back now. But there's purple flowers that grow along the roads. That's chicory.
Okay.
And so the roots of them are used for coffee as a coffee substitute or a coffee extender. I mean, in New Orleans, it's the normal coffee.
I've heard of chicory, but I never knew what it was.
Yeah, it's
So
related to dandelion, so it has a lot of similar properties for cleansing the liver and keeping the digestive tract healthy.
So, Chuck, you put it in your coffee? Is that
Oh yeah, half and half.
Is that right?
Yeah, dig the roots, roast them, grind it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes a little getting used to. It's a little bit bitter. But then good coffee tends to be bitter.
Yeah, right. What about wine and stuff like that? Do you partake in any of that kind of stuff?
Yes, and actually, a couple weeks ago we had
Yes.
a person from Erie come out, and she taught a class on making wine from elderberries. And
Elderberry wine?
Yeah, so she'll be back next year to teach a few classes, and we'll just make different kinds of wines. So yeah, medicine and wine goes together pretty well.
And the lemon balm. She's making a batch with my mother of lemon balm wine.
What's lemon balm? That?
Yeah, that's a really common garden plant. It's in the mint family, and so it has a lemony flavor, and it's very calming, relaxing, high in minerals. So combining it when it's fermented into a wine, it makes for a fairly potent drink.
In this day and age, there's so much stress going on. Are there any things out there that like you just mentioned, that can take the stress off you or calm you down naturally?
Yes. Yeah, besides lemon balm, things like linden, what else? Can you think of any?
St. John's wort.
I was going to
St.
ask you about
John's
St.
wort.
John's wort. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I think that the way it is marketed is inaccurate. It is not a good replacement for Prozac. It's good in short periods of time for very specific problems. Like if I recommend it, it's usually for people who are going through some kind of grieving process. They just lost somebody or something.
Does it have a
that's really
calming
important
effect?
to them. It's calming, but it's also stimulating. I call it liquid courage.
Really?
It helps people get through those tough times.
Really? As I mentioned, Leah has been out at the farmer's market all summer long. Won't be there tomorrow on the last day because she has something going on called a wilderness skills.
Introduction to Wilderness Skills.
Tell us about that. What's that all about?
Well, I think that it gives people skills that help them feel a little more safe when they're going out into the woods. Like I said before, we're teaching them how to build fires and shelters, and we're going to teach them how to make cordage and probably some other things. And herbal first aid is part of it. But
what about the shelters? What do you teach them on that regard?
I'll let Charles answer that one.
So if you think about the weather right now, if you spent the night out in the woods,
Be cold.
you'd be cold.
Yeah.
You'd be cold. Hypothermia would be a big issue. So I have a tree in mind that is tipped over. It's a locust tree that the grapevines have pulled down. So it's at a fairly steep angle. Stack sticks up on it, cover it in leaves, and you can stay warm in pretty much any temperature. The more leaves you put on it, the more insulation you.
Right, right.
Think about a squirrel's nest. We're making a squirrel's nest for humans. So they're because there are these big balls of leaves up in trees. So we're basically going to do the same thing that we could fit in.
Now, Charles, would of course, like you say, you need to have insulation to keep you warm.
Oh, yeah.
Would that be enough to keep hypothermia from hitting
Oh, yeah.
you?
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
What about a fire on the outside of that?
Yeah, sure.
Is that okay?
As long as it's far enough away that it doesn't set it on fire.
Right, right.
Um,
See, everybody that watches this show or listens to it knows that I'm a big fan of the Survivor Man and all those kind of guys.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
watch them do that stuff, and and they've been in some very, very cold temperatures where I just don't even know how they can stand it. But they make do, and that's why this kind of interests me. You said cordage. What's that?
String, rope.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's a number of plants that grow around here that can be, they have fibers, long fibers that are strong enough that you can make a string out of them.
I've seen that in my television shows too, where they do that. Let's take this call. Hi, you're on the air.
Morning, Pat. I'm sorry for calling back. I know you don't like a lot of
That's all right.
callbacks, but I would like the lady to come over my house. I think she'd find some of the trees in my yard quite interesting.
What do you mean?
Well, I got fig trees and pawpaws and pecans and American filberts and American persimmons.
Really?
I think she'd be quite interested in all the things that I grow over here on the east side.
Did you plant those yourself, Tom, or were they there when you?
The fig trees come right from Italy. There was Mike Pastrilla, Pastrilla's father.
Yes.
He brought them right from Italy, and I have 3 different types. They actually have figs on them right now.
No kidding.
And the pawpaws, they're a native fruit, and they're very good for you as far as cancer-fighting stuff. And the seeds are poisonous, but they're an American fruit, and that's why I say I think she'd find that pretty interesting. The American persimmons, they come from a guy that drove by my house and noticed I had pecan trees in my yard. The first person that ever noticed that, not even the Amish when they were cutting the woods across the street knew what they were.
I'll be darned.
And he drove by and he asked me if I knew the yard, and he grows all these weird trees like I do. And so he happened to drive by and we started exchanging different exotic American trees. And so I just thought she might like to come over and see some of those. And maybe the fruit, like the pawpaws right now, are all over the ground. And she might like to take some with her. I don't particularly care for them. It's kind of an acquired, well, they have a different taste, and so you have to be used to that kind of thing.
Tell her where you're located there, Tom.
I'm over here on the east side on Woodworth Road,
Woodworth Road.
right across the first house across the railroad tracks. And I just thought, I grow a lot of herbs. I know a lot about the woods and things that are edible in the woods and so forth around here. This is the largest concentration of herbs in the world in this area. So I just thought I'd call in and let her know about that if she ever wanted to come down and see these strange trees.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
that I propagate down
She
here.
said absolutely, so she'll probably check you out. Okay.
There you go. I just thought I'd let her know where I'm at.
Okay, Tom.
Okie dokie.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Can we show you something?
Yeah.
We have this quilt that Charles' mother made. We are raffling it off next Friday. We're having a tea party
Okay.
to celebrate, and so
Wow.
this is the herb quilt. It's got a bunch of the plants actually that we've been talking about on it.
Yeah.
Like right here is the dandelion. This is New England aster that's blooming now. This is the trillium. This is cramp bark. I'm sure you can figure out what that one's for. That is chicory. Chicory, chickweed, wild bergamot, or some people call it bee balm, and then marshmallow. which is a great medicine, but also actually was how marshmallows used to be made.
Really?
Yeah. And so this is our logo. This is the trillium with the ant, and this is the seed pods. And if you read on our website, you'll see that part of why we called it the Trillium Center is because of the relationship with the ants. Because the ants propagate trilliums. The only way they can travel is by ants, and the ants collect the seeds because they have this little yellow pad on them. It looks like butter, and they love to eat it. And so they'll collect the seeds and put it over here and stockpile them, and then a new bunch of trilliums will grow there.
So you're auctioning this off. How much are tickets?
The tickets are $5.
$5.
Yeah.
And where do they get them?
They can either buy them at the tea party, or they can be purchased online at trilliumcenter.org.
The tea party's at your place?
It's at our place, yeah, on Friday.
From next Friday?
Yeah, next Friday from 6 to 8.
Okay. Okay, great. You're located now, tell us where?
715 Furnace Road.
715 Furnace Road? And is there a phone number they call?
Yeah, the phone number is 440-812-9921. That's my office phone.
All right, I better write it down because I know somebody's going to probably call after you leave and I won't know it. So, 440?
812.
Wait. 812?
9921.
9921. Okay. Any other herbs out there that you handle?
Oh yeah.
You got tons of them?
Oh,
Yeah.
So what do they do? People can come out there and buy these herbs? Are they packaged or?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I usually will. Sometimes I make things that people can just get, and other times I make things specific to that person. So, but yeah, I work with more than 150 herbs.
So were you selling these at the farmer's market then?
Yeah, I sell salves, which are ointments that can be used for various things. I sell teas and skin products.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's interesting. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
I grew up with grandparents and parents that were naturalists, and the gentleman that called in with the pawpaw trees, I'm from southern Indiana, and they're very common down there. I haven't had any pawpaws in 30 years. I really would like to get in touch with him. If he would call me at 593-6380, I'd like to come get some pawpaws.
593, what's your number?
6380.
0, okay.
And I'll be calling her, too, to see about some classes, because this is very much up my alley.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that some people are responding to this. That's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks.
We have all kinds of classes. I do the study group once a month. During the warmer months, I do a monthly plant walk where we just walk around and I point out the plants that are in bloom and what they're used for. I also have a longer term program called the Community Herbal Intensive, where for once a month for 9 months, a group of people will meet every month and learn about a little bit of anatomy and physiology for the herbalist. They'll learn about plants, they'll learn about how to make medicine out of the plants. They learn a little bit about how to community organize and so that they can make a project happen. One of the things that we're working on right now is doing a coalition with the community, what is it called? The Community Human Resource Center?
Connie Human
Connie.
The Connie Human Resource Center. I always think it stands for community. We're working on a survey so that we can figure out what people in Conneaut want. Do they want community gardens? Do they want more natural spaces to go to? What do they think of their food access? That sort of thing.
Do you have a mailing list or anything that you?
I do. Yeah.
Send? Let me take this call real quick.
Sure.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air.
Yes, this is Jeannie Anuska from Pontiac. I live at 445 Center Road.
Okay.
I wanted to know if you would be able to put an ATC out on a missing dog for me today.
Sure. What's happening? You lost your dog?
Yes, last night I had a three-legged blind chow, and unfortunately he's a little bit deaf. He does respond to the name of Nick.
Nick. Okay.
He's a caramel and white-colored chow.
A
Very
chow.
friendly.
Okay.
But he's three-legged. His eyes, you can definitely tell he's blind. His retinas are detached. He's a special needs dog, but somehow or another he got off of his lead somewhere between 9:30 and 5 yesterday.
Where are you located at?
I'm located on Center Road, where between the old Kmart and the Clio ball field.
Okay.
My address is 445 Center Road, and I have a phone number they can reach me at 440-319-0965.
0965?
Yes.
Okay, we'll keep announcing that for you, okay?
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate that.
Good luck.
Take care, Beth. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, she lost her dog, so I'll try to find Nick for her. I think she said a chow. I was having a hard time hearing.
It sounded like
Caramel
white.
and white chow.
Yeah.
What color was it?
Caramel and white chow.
Oh, okay, good ears. Caramel and white. Okay. All right. Now you say you do have a newsletter out there.
Yeah, we have a quarterly newsletter. I mostly just send it out over email,
Mm-hmm.
but I do print them and pass them out at the farmers markets.
Okay. I think that's great. I think it's fascinating what you're doing, and interesting. We got some good response this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry that I did not check you out down there at the farmers market. Were you down there with her, Charles?
No.
No. You had to think about that for a second.
I've been there a couple of times, but not usually.
No. But good luck with your business.
Thank you.
And I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's a good thing. It's a real good thing.
We're having fun with it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you back again. Okay.
Okay.
And if you have anything else that you want to discuss, we'll talk about it then. Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.